If you could get some advice from a doctor who had 14 years of experience and has seen 11,000 patients, what would you ask? Well, I got to do that in this podcast episode, and my first question was, what is the main thing? With all the health, wellness, and fitness advice out there, what is the most important thing that we can be doing to ensure lifelong health? My guest today is Dr. Caleb Guernsey, a chiropractic doctor with lots and lots of experience. He is passionate about pursuing health in his own life and advocates for that with his patients. I got to ask him my big question about what is the main thing. But then we also took a deep dive into men's health because I've had some burning questions about that too. Did you know that in the last 50 to 60 years, testosterone levels have dropped in men by 50%? Good testosterone levels are necessary for aging well, energy, focus, sex drive and performance, building muscle, and the production of red blood cells and sperm. It's kind of a big deal. I think you will find the reasons for this issue and the solutions for this issue just as fascinating as I did. Welcome to the Daily Wellness Podcast, where you can learn about healthy living and be inspired to take the next step in your wellness journey. Dr. Guernsey, thank you so much for joining us. I have the privilege of knowing you personally, and I know that you walk the talk, and I've loved seeing your own growth as you have been in the healthcare industry and taking care of thousands of patients. Do you have any idea how many patients you've seen at this point?
I'm closing in on 11,000 patient files in my clinic. So
that's insane.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of things.
Yeah. So 11,000 patient files over 14 years. I want people to be able to pick your brain the way I have been able to. And so, with all that wealth of knowledge, I just think even just observing that many people in a healthcare setting, there would be some huge takeaways. But you've done a lot more than observe them. You've worked with them personally and, seen their lifestyles and all of that. So what are some big takeaways that you would say, thinking about longevity, thinking about health in general? What are some things that you wish people really knew that are super important to healthy living?
Just kind of like what you said, the longer you do it and the more people that you come in contact with and the more information you glean, you feel like you're just always collecting information. So I started studying the human body almost 20 years ago. And from then until now, I have seen a wide array of things, and there are always constants. There's always things that are steady, and they're always the same. Every physician over time begins to develop theories on things, and whether it be in a case study or a study of any kind found in New England Journal of Medicine or things that you read from other physicians, you're always just collecting information, and there becomes just some really obvious things that are not new concepts, but things that if you were in my shoes on a daily basis working with patients, you just see them over and over and over again. Culturally, right now, the biggest problem that we have is that we allow our bodies to go dormant. Our bodies are just they're not built to not be used. There is no such thing as living longer by not using your body. And that's one of the things that I see constantly. I work as a chiropractic physician. I work mostly with neuromuscular skeletal conditions. So conditions that directly affect the skeletal system, the muscular system, and the nervous system. That's kind of my area on a daily basis. The majority of the problems that I see, you can trace back to weakness and underuse and overprotection of your body. That central problem bleeds out into a lot of other issues that you may not think are directly related. So how we digest food, how we sleep, how we process stress. There's so many things that come back to an underuse and a weakness of our bodies. And if there was one thing, if there was one order that I could give to every single patient, it would be to do more with your body, period. We don't even tap into the possibility of overusing our bodies a lot of times. A lot of times the conditions that we have, the plantar fasciitis, the tennis elbow, the tweaked shoulder, a lot of those conditions we assume are because we have overdone and overused. I work with a lot of athletes, so a lot of ex-athletes, guys that used to play sports. They got a shoulder problem that they got in high school, and they just assume that they overdid it and their shoulder is wore out and shot. It's just a weakness that never was able to bounce back, because then they don't want to use it at all.
Why do you think we're like that? Why do you think our culture is dormant?
Well, I think that a lot of jobs are we have moved away from the necessity of using our bodies to dig ditches. So I come from a farming community. Farmers have traditionally, through the millennia, have always been known as being such hardworking people. And they are wonderful, wonderful, salt of the earth people. And a lot of them traditionally have always been very hardworking. So throwing bales of hay and building fence and taking care of animals and walking. And now, unfortunately, farming is no more than a desk job. I mean, you're running a computer in a tractor, and if you need to dig a ditch, you go get another implement. So the physical labor is gone. And same thing if outside of maybe construction, some of the trades, there's just not a lot of jobs left that require you to use your body. And deep in the psyche of a lot of people, and this is deep rooted, this goes back a long ways, you view your movements as currency. So you only get so many steps for your life. And you can only squat down and pick something off of the floor so many times in your life before you wear out your hips or you wear out your knees. And the exact opposite is actually true. You gain currency by moving more and doing more. That combined with pain trains your brain. So whatever is uncomfortable and whatever it makes you really tired or whatever, we immediately kind of retract from. And if we have the option to then not do that or to do it in an easier way, we constantly are evolving to this point where we just don't use our bodies.
And that's almost rewarded. Like, I found like the smart way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. If you look at commercials, what's the fastest way? I want the type of paper towel that doesn't require me to scrub much. What can I do that's easier and more comfortable? And we constantly can gently kind of get, caught in that current and then just taken downstream further than we think that we are.
Right. So if we're not moving in our jobs and our brains have kind of trained us to avoid pain and do what's easy, like what would you recommend? Like what should using our bodies look like?
Well,
I need to go to the gym every day.
No. I get asked that question a lot. Do you think that everyone needs to work out? And when you say the term workout, immediately half the people that I'm talking to are going to shut their brains off. I'm not doing that. What I'm talking about is using your body. We treat our body like the family minivan, where you don't want to rev it up. You want to be gentle, make it last for a long time. And we're designed to be NASCARs. We're designed to go hard and to use your body. The only way that you can grow muscle is to break muscle down that you already have. You can't take a pill, eat the right things, and grow muscle. To grow muscle, you have to use muscle and you have to break it down. And so you don't need to join a gym. You don't need to, change fields and become a construction worker. You just need to find ways within your own capability and time space to do. And I love start by walking immediately today. What's the first thing I can do to get started? Go walk, just start walking and measure it. We have 1,000 ways to measure walking. You get your Garmin watch, you got your phone, you got your tracking devices. You can tell exactly how many steps you took. Okay, so start at 5,000, start at 6,000, start at wherever you want to, and add 100 steps a day and make it a requirement. And when you get to the 4 or 5 o'clock, hour, and your step count's a little bit low, go for a walk, because you have to do a little bit more every day. And then you can start setting new goals. And the basic body movements that I wish everybody did on a daily basis are lunges and squats.
Mm-hmm.
And do
practical movements.
Practical movements. You don't need to join a gym. You don't need anything other than your body. Lunges, squats, planks, leg lifts. You don't need to go much outside of that. I could take some of the strongest athletes that I work with. I work with athletes on a daily basis. I could take some of the strongest athletes that I work with, and I could make them do a workout with just squats and lunges that would make them completely broken down, completely shot. You don't need anything. And if you want to get fancy, get some bands. Bands, I could show you 1,000 workouts that just involve bands that work shoulder, arm, core. There's so many advantages to just owning a band. And a band is $8 at Walmart.
Yeah. So good.
One thing that I do want to touch on with increasing physical movement is our stress levels today. Now, there's a difference between actual stress and perceived stress, but our stress levels today are potentially higher than they've ever been. Now, that does not necessarily mean that we have more stressful things. We're not getting chased by tigers. There has been stressful situations in the past that we don't have to deal with. We're not at war. We don't have, we're not settling the plains and we're dealing with wars with indigenous people. We're not. So yeah. I would argue that we don't necessarily have more stress today, but stress, both perceived stress and actual stress, change your body. It changes your chemical makeup. It changes how your hormones are regulated. It changes how you digest food. It changes how you sleep. It changes everything. Now, if you have no physical outlet to allow some of that stress to work itself out and make your body tired and use up all of your blood sugar and make your body produce testosterone instead of cortisol, if you can change your chemical makeup by what you put out, by using those calories and not letting them be stored, then you're able to deal with stress dramatically better.
Yeah.
The percentage of Americans that's on antidepressants is astronomical at this moment. And I think that there's a direct relation to the fact that we are not producing anything with the calories that's in our body.
Yeah, that's so good. That's such a good point and really good connection. So like, just to clarify, like using our bodies, like moving our bodies from that, if we're not doing that, right, that all these other things stem from, like cardiovascular disease, obesity, chronic stress, whatever it is, like it's all comes back to, are we using our body the way it was designed to be used?
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
And it does not have to be, I'm not going to recommend any type of workout. I mean, I gave some suggestions for really easy stuff, but if you're a swimmer, you want to go swim. If you're a biker and you want to go bike, if you're a weightlifter, do anything, everything. Yes, go do it.
Yeah, that's so good. Awesome. Yeah. And so like thinking about that and like where we are as a society, because we're not moving our bodies and because, and now we have almost everyone on antidepressants, struggling with an autoimmune disorder, or like the rates of cancer are almost 1 in 3. I think, we're like projected to 1 in 2 with women. And I think men is like 1 in 3. And so, I mean, that's crazy. You have, strokes, lung disease, high blood pressure, cholesterol, like all the things. And thinking about that.
Listed the majority of the top 10 list of what actually kills Americans. That you've just listed pretty much the whole list.
So can you talk to me a little bit about those issues in men? Like Absolutely. I would love to pick your brain on this because I know that you're really passionate about it. Thinking about some of those things, what do you see as like the main threat in men's health specifically?
There's a giant problem with men's testosterone levels in the United States. And to me, that is a glaring number one, because it affects so many things. And you don't hear that, I don't think, enough. Me in the healthcare field, I am around that. It's common to have low T centers for men where you can go in and you can check your testosterone levels. And it's kind of viewed as this issue that's kind of on the side of what actual health problems are. But if you look at, you had mentioned earlier, we're down 50%.
Some research the other day said in the last 60 to 70 years, like sperm rates, testosterone have dropped about 50% in men, which is, that's insane. Like that is a problem. Like,
you're exactly right. For aging in men, to properly age, your testosterone levels are such a big deal. It's a really big deal. We average in this country to be overweight. If you have a higher percentage of body fat, your testosterone levels immediately going to respond to that. If you have a lower amount of muscle mass in your body, your testosterone is affected by that. So going back to what I was talking about earlier, our bodies, the majority of Americans' bodies are dormant, and they're just not being used. So immediately our muscle tone, the amount of muscle that we have on our skeletal system, it goes down, and the amount of fat that we have goes up. So immediately testosterone is affected. But testosterone in men affects your energy level, your sex drive, your mental clarity, your ability to retain your memory. It affects absolutely everything. I am now getting to an age where I see the effects of when you peak, and men peak at 20 to 18 to 24 or something like that. There's a peak, and then from there it's just this gradual drop, and that's natural. That's going to happen.
What is it for women? Do you know what it is for women?
Women peak it's really early to late 30s. So it's your 32 to 38-ish, 39-ish.
Go back. Sorry. I just had to know.
No, I think God did it that way so that we have better sex for longer.
That's great.
But but men are going to gently drop over time. So your testosterone level at 70 is not going to be what it was whenever you were 30. That is okay, and that's normal. What we're seeing in America right now is that we're seeing a giant drop early. So I'm 40. At 40, we're down that 50% that you were talking about. So we're aging so much faster.
Wow.
Because the way that our every cell in our body is constantly dividing and dying. We're constantly regenerating a new version of ourselves. If we accelerate the aging process at 40, your not only ability to live long, but quality of life after that plummets. Whenever you
touched on that cell renewal.
You do, but you are producing yourself. You're constantly regenerating a new you. If you look at it like that, it makes more sense. If you speed up that aging process, the degenerative side of that aging process at 40, your quality of life goes down so far so fast that it is really hard to rebound. In those cases, whenever you see a dramatic drop off, and you know that your quality of life is going to diminish dramatically because of your testosterone level, that is when I recommend you need to go and you need to supplement. You need to have an outside source of testosterone. The danger in doing that is once you do that, you are now solidly in that boat because your brain shuts off its own ability to produce testosterone.
Okay.
And testosterone, again, just like muscle, is produced better when you have muscle and when you don't carry around as much fat and you're using your body. And another thing that I don't think is talked about enough, testosterone is fat soluble. There's 4 vitamins. The A, D, E, and K are fat soluble vitamins. Those are more difficult to supplement in your diet. But whenever we took away fat, whenever we demonized fat in the late 70s, and because we recognized that we were taking too many calories in, we were not producing enough with our calories, and so we, as a whole, started to look for ways to to change the cholesterol levels in aging Americans. So immediately they went to, we got to get rid of fat. Eggs are bad, milk is bad. You have to cut the fat out of everything. Well, testosterone is a fat soluble hormone.
Yes.
And so you need fat. If you're an athlete today, please supplement with good fat. And I don't mean just fish oil. I mean, incorporate coconut oil in your life. Mm-hmm. Incorporate olive oil in your life. Figure out ways to get oil in your body because you need a really good, consistent source of good fat.
Mm-hmm.
And even eggs. Going back to that, eggs have an excellent source of omega-3, 6 and 9, and important to have that in your diet regularly.
Yeah. Speaking of things that aren't talked about much, I mean, you just mentioned testosterone as a hormone, and I think it's becoming more popular to talk about balancing women's hormones, like in the women's world. Like we talk about our hormones more now. I think that's great. I think it's less so in the men's world. Men just aren't talking about it. They're not seeking help for it. They don't understand it. They don't really know what's going on in their body and how to correct it. So let's brainstorm with me, what are the things that really affect men's hormones? So you already said a couple, moving our bodies, the muscle to fat ratio, in our body, right? That affects our hormones.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. Our diet, you started to touch on that, getting enough healthy fat, making sure we're getting quality protein, things like that, cutting out the processed food and the sugar, right? Because that all affects our hormone system. And then what you said earlier, about half of, I don't know, you didn't say half, a lot of Americans are on antidepressant medication or anxiety medication. And I've been reading some research recently about how that affects our hormones as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
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 So we have that. I mean, anything else you can think of?
Well, again, going back to the way that we handle stress, we are not managing stress in America in a productive way. And I know there's a lot of people that's working on it, and there's a lot of people that are trying really hard. Antidepressants, anxiety medication is one that seems to be effective on the surface with a lot of people. But
the cortisol hormone is too high.
Cortisol hormone's too high, your testosterone drops.
Yeah.
And going back to what you had said, men and women are different. Mm-hmm. And women, if a woman says, my hormones are off, that's completely acceptable. Let's run a panel. Let's figure it out. Women are comfortable about talking about that. Men are a different animal. And I have worked with patient care, and I work in a family practice, so I see everything. And I know that every mom is in charge of all the healthcare decisions in the house, period. Because men are not going to go to the doctor until they can't walk. And so just putting up with low testosterone becomes they will accept the effects of that as opposed to trying to deal with that. And so spreading awareness, letting people know this is a normal problem. This is really, really normal. Instead of drinking 12 cups of coffee to keep your energy level up, let's explore what you can do to actually have energy again.
Because right. I would say it's common, but I don't want it to be people's normal, right? To not accept it as it's just how it is.
Yeah, exactly. If you look at the amount of energy drinks that are sold, go into your convenient local gas station and walk through. Energy drinks used to be soda. That's kind of part of they put caffeine and sugar together. It made this magic substance where people had energy. Coca-Cola actually used to advertise it as an energy drink. Now, if you go by the drinks, you've got a wide variety of things that would never offered before. But if you were to take a snapshot of the entire thing and summed it up, people have low energy. Mm-hmm. If you just look at that and put two and two together, people deal with low energy. Watch a football game. Yeah. What are all the ads? It's insurance companies. It's erectile dysfunction. And I mean, if you sat down with if an alien landed in your living room and watched a football game with you, they could tell you, well, Americans don't have any energy and they have erectile problems.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's things that we just get used to looking at, and we don't maybe know that it's a fixable problem. This is a problem that we can fix. This is a manageable thing.
Right. Yeah. I think people hear like, I have chronic fatigue or I have, chronic whatever, and they just accept that as that's just how I am. And my heart is just like, dying to let people know that it does not have to be that way, that your body can heal. Yeah.
And one thing that anytime I'm speaking with someone about fitness, there's a hurdle mentally, because there's no easy way to do it. There's no easy way out. You can't go and use your body and break muscle down and use calories. You're going to be breathing hard. You're going to be sweating. It's going to be physically hard, but there becomes a plateau of how difficult it becomes. And this is after a while. I normally tell people 6 months. Give me 6 months. Like, don't join a gym, buy a 1 month membership, give me 3.5 weeks and go, that's really hard. I'm tired of doing it. Or this is the number one thing that I am told. I don't have the energy to work out. I tell people, listen, I would love for you to go walk. I would love for you to do 3 or 4 exercises. I would love to do that. Try to do that on a daily basis. The number one thing I'm going to hear, I don't have the energy to work out. I don't have enough energy. Well, here's the rest of the story. If you get past that hump, if you just keep going, and this is the one piece of advice that doesn't sell books, but it's the most true thing you've ever heard about fitness. Just keep showing up. Just keep going. I don't even care if you go to the gym and really have a terrible workout. Keep it in your rhythm. Keep it consistent, because what happens is once you get to a certain point, you understand that you are producing energy by being there.
Mm-hmm.
Your heart being efficient and your fat level being lower and using all of those calories that you put in your body every single day creates energy. And there becomes a point where it turns, and instead of, I don't have enough energy to work out, the sentence becomes, I don't have enough energy to not work out. Like, I need
to break the cycle.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
This is so good. So good. Before we leave, I have 3 quick questions that I ask every guest. So the first one is, what healthy living resource would you recommend? Like, if someone wanted to go learn more about men's health or chiropractic care or diet, whatever it is, like, what is one resource you would recommend for them to go do that?
Honestly, there's so much information online. You can get so much information from podcasts like yours. I mean, just go to YouTube and start exploring.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I suggest often to people is, whenever you collect information, don't take a bit of information and make it true in your mind. It takes a while. It's kind of like working out. It takes a while, snowballing some information together. There's no easy way to do it. You just have to
learn a little bit at a time.
Yeah. Absolutely. Because no one in their right mind is, like a physician like me typically does, but no one is going to have the New England Journal of Medicine sitting on the back of their toilet. Like, it's just, there's the medical sources are just not fun. You can't stay awake reading them. It's just, it's not fun stuff. But there's a lot of good stuff online. There's too much information online to really give any other source.
Yeah. Okay. Question 2 is, what's your favorite healthy snack?
Favorite healthy snack? I got to go with almonds. Almonds, I have like a handful of almonds. There's enough fat in it that satiates me. I feel like I've got something in my stomach. I love the flavor, and I'm always figuring out ways to collect more protein in my diet.
Yeah, good. I love it. And last question is, who would you love to see as a guest in your spot on the Daily Wellness Podcast?
Who would be good? Dr. Jay Goodbinder.
Yeah.
Has he done it?
He's been on once. Yep.
Okay. I would love for you to have Joe Rogan.
I'll email him about that. You gonna put a word in for me?
I would love to see a orthopedic surgeon who has had a very, very long career working on the knee, hip, shoulder replacements, normal, what areas of the body break down. There is a doctor, and I can connect you with him, Dr. Haas out of Liberty. I think he's been an orthopedist. It would have to be close to 50 years. And I would love to see what his opinion is of the way we have addressed cholesterol medication specifically, and how it affects the cartilage that's in our joints.
You got me intrigued. Okay, this has been so good. Seriously, thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for sharing with us. I love what you're doing and the impact that you're having in the world.
Thank you. I love you very much, Militia.
Talk to you later.
Have a great day.
Thanks for listening to today's episode on the Daily Wellness Podcast. We hope that you found it helpful for your own wellness journey. And if so, we'd love for you to leave a review. Then come back and listen for review shoutouts on upcoming episodes. For more information, check out the show notes and connect with us on our website, dailywellnesscommunity.com.